Okay, everyone, thank you again for being here. Those that have been waiting a few moments, thank you so much. Very excited about the things that have happened this week and what we have. I'm looking forward to this next week. Some awesome, tangible things that will get everyone excited for sure. As I mentioned, again, it's Friday, January 14th. We're off and running. We have, I think we've worked out the audio recording. We did some testing earlier. So for those that got on expecting maybe an AMA earlier. Apologize for that, and thank you so much for being back here and now. Absolutely. Let's begin with kind of a weekly recap in some areas, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to post those over in the AMA questions channel, and then we'll pull those and read from those and make sure we get some good answers to the questions that we have answers on. And if we don't have the answer, then we'll absolutely say that as well. Beginning the week, let's start with from a marketing perspective. Our new marketing manager, Tiago, definitely hit the ground running, completed some market research, and he's going to start a brand awareness campaign on Monday. The goal of that campaign is both to kind of boost the Fiscus brand across all the socials. We haven't really had a presence, let's say, on Reddit. Previously it's kind of been left more or less unmonitored, if you will. And so Tiago and his team have tackled that and are going to that will be a small element of the campaign. And then of course Twitter being where we started, being where we've existed, still having over 9,000 followers there. It's important that at this stage that we're at now, that we really start to increase the education truly around what we're doing, around our tokenomics, around what makes Fiscus special, what makes us different, how we will succeed in bear markets, in crypto winners, in commerce, and everything in between. So very excited about kind of mixing not only marketing but really the education with it. Again, from a marketing perspective for us, it really is about that education. Our revenue stems from the off chain. It stems from the things that we'll do on chain as well, and how those two things benefit one another. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us special. When we look at, again, the state of other projects per se, those that sometimes may choose to tackle on chain, a lot of times they come to that that choose to tackle off chain elements, specifically revenue or bringing assets that are off chain on chain. They're tackling that from an on chain perspective. The benefit that we have, as we've said from the very beginning, is that we've been on the off-chain side. That's where we started, and that's something that's vastly different about us. Now that we've shored up the on-chain in a phenomenal way, we're really seeing the wonderful blend of both. And so I can say with absolutely that we're very excited about what's happening. I'm excited to share that with you guys too. So even let's talk about the on-chain. Let's talk about some things that are tangible. The pFISC token will be completed on Tuesday by 10 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do about 2 days of marketing and, again, education with that and instructions on that. And then we'll begin airdropping that pFISC token. Excuse me. We'll start out with the original bounty members, those participants from the very beginning. And then we'll go forward and be airdropping the NFT holders their pFISC tokens as well. And this, of course, will be on Avalanche. So those Avalanche addresses that everyone provided from the very beginning, or will be the ones that receive these tokens. There's a separate mechanism that Suhail is perfecting on the whitelist, where obviously there'll be a claim based on the actual whitelist address. So those will be handled a little bit differently, but at least everyone will have these tokens, have something tangible that everyone's been waiting for, and again, that's one step closer. And then briefly, if we could have Donnie touch on the NFT elements, because I know you have some updates there, as well as the whitelist too.
Hello, all. Appreciate you guys having me. I just want to briefly go over some of the just an update on the NFT sale, the close of that, and also the whitelist. So we basically, obviously, you guys seen it. Forms have closed on both the NFT sale and the whitelist, as well as the NFT second sale, and we've really wrapped the NFT part of it up. We've got our list of NFT holders, as you guys may have seen in the community, that those roles have been assigned, and we do want you guys to know that there will be an appeals process installed if you believe you have an NFT role should have been assigned to you and it's not. We do have, in the midst of our recording, we do have wallets that are not assigned to usernames. So there's a few of those, and so we will hopefully people will come forward and say, "Hey, I'm not an NFT role. I'm not assigned an NFT role," and they will come forth and we can verify that that's one of the wallets that we have. So so those lists are out. All the roles have been assigned that we have. So if you are a NFT holder and you don't have that role assigned, please DM me, or and we should have a form out probably this weekend on that as we completely finalize that list. As far as the whitelist goes, right now we're working through all the qualifications. So just to give you some statistics, there were originally about 1,900 whitelist requests from various from all the members. Obviously, that was about 6 weeks ago we put that list out, so the information's a little bit stale. So we're being very careful on qualifying those. Some members have left, as you guys know. And we're taking them out of the list and getting a very, very concise list together with all the qualifications. There's a few things that we have to verify, obviously with the Kryptonaires, and we're going to respect that, but we also have to verify that. So that's kind of where we're at on that. I'm about 60% through. The team is about 60% through on verifications, and we hope to get that done this weekend, and then at the very latest, the first part of next week. So we will have that list going. The same kind of issue applies to that list, where we have wallets that we can't assign to usernames. We will obviously have an appeals process for that. So and just a little foreshadowing what's going to really happen once these lists get done and we finalize that, then we can certainly move forward with the token airdrop, as well as giving you guys instructions on how things are going to work with the exchange, not only of the of the NFTs, but also receiving the tokens. So that's really the update on that. We're working very hard to get that done. It's go time. I've said that in my Donny drops, and we really feel like in the last couple weeks we've really started tightening things up as far as that goes. So we're excited about it, and Phil, go ahead. That was my update.
Wonderful, thank you as well. And again, just echoing what Donny's saying, I think that from his side, from an admin side, and then matching that with the on-chain side, the actual functionality of the claiming that's been designed by Suhail and that he is working on now. I think that again, those two are really kind of lockstep. So I mean, we're seeing some great things ahead of us as far as timing goes on that. And then if I'm not sure if Donnie had noticed or not, but here in my notes, I definitely have that all of those second chance NFTs will be sent out by Tuesday at 10 p.m. as well. So everyone will not only have those, but then shortly thereafter, they'll have their pFISC tokens that match up with that as well. So again, having that viability. From an on-chain standpoint, we have brought in additional projects. There is a total right now of 17 that we can talk about, and these 17, and when I said talk about, again, words are there's a famous rapper that I always used to talk about, talk is cheap, right? And so it's about everyone seeing the overviews and the contracts and the principles. We've started to receive a couple of videos. There's some editing that's being done on those, so the community can have those and see the principles that are matched up with those. On top of that, we want everyone to really understand which projects have the NFT rewards and which ones may not. Some may not. Like when we look at a project like a crash site, because an entity like the Nevada Gaming Commission is involved in a project like that. That's one that, from a regulatory perspective, we aren't looking at taking on a NFT reward from a project like that. And then that brings us to, I think, a phenomenal point. Another new person that we have that's coming on, that's going through actually the doxing and approval process in the role of a compliance officer. And so he will be in that role, and really he's there because we recognize this. The actual point of Fiscus, yes, we're providing the set aside so that projects can be funded. But in the bigger sense, our community is robust. Those that are in the audience here are robust. We have received proposals. Received one today that was phenomenal, well thought out, very well. And those are the type of things that we're looking for from the community. And so when we see a project that's like that, that's a project that really is in-house. And so how do we establish that type of a project in-house? And the way that that's done is really by owning that project. That's something that we want Fiscus to have the full benefit of. Now, with that being said, the core tenet of the treasury is no risk, right? No risk ever to the treasury. And so how do we do that? Well, we do that by having these community sponsored or community brought community owned projects in separate entities. Again, those that are bringing forth these projects, we're looking at them to manage the project that they're bringing forth, right? It's almost instead of put your money where your mouth is, it's not that, because we're bringing the set aside and we're bringing the funding, but it's sign on the dotted line. It's come forth, be a doxed individual, and let's do the project and the proposal that you're bringing forth. That in a way makes us a little bit different than a lot of other projects, because we're looking for that on a large scale. We want that. Even still, with that being said, there's some more that I want to talk about too on the NFT rewards, specifically as it involves Fiscus Plus, which the Fiscus Plus announcement also will be released Tuesday by 10 p.m. Eastern. Kind of matching all these up so everyone knows when and where to look. Those that we want to be conscious of everyone's time and efforts and make our arrows count, as they say. And so with that being said, we'll talk a little bit more about the NFT rewards. But let's get to the questions here. And these are the questions from the week. All right, first question here. Will the tokens that the projects purchase have the same tokenomics as the rest of the community? It absolutely is the same FISC. Will a separate FISC. They will not have pFISC. They aren't participating in. Again, this is just kind of rehashing this, saying this again. They're not participating in the whitelist. They're not participating. They haven't participated in NFT. They won't be participating in LBP. This is only at launch. They're buying at launch. Now, one question that goes on with this that wasn't specifically listed was, are these projects and the purchase of FISC that they are required to make, one, are they able to stake? And the answer to that is actually no. Some in the community had a kind of thought, assumed that the answer would be yes. There'd obviously be a good benefit for the owners of those projects if they were able to, but the answer is no. And the reason for that is because the benefit is for the community. The entire point of having these projects purchase FISC in lieu of, let's say, us negotiating an even higher fee is, one, them purchasing FISC is an asset, easier for us to be able to negotiate an increased purchase of FISC versus an increased fee, because it is something that they own, something that they can show on their balance sheet. Also, by having a gradual release at the end of the 2-year lockup, the benefit is obviously inside of FISC because we're not looking at a massive dump, let's say, from a significantly large project. But by not allowing them to stake, that leaves more staking ability or more runway, if you will, as far as time for you, for our community, for those that have been in, for those that are NFT holders and receive the airdrops, and those that are in the whitelist and in the LBP, and for crypto participants. And that in a way illustrates the dichotomy between where we are in this. We are off chain and we are on chain, and so the expectations that are off chain don't necessarily cross over to the expectations that are on chain and vice versa. Our job is to be in that middle lane and be able to craft the very, very best structures and solutions. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we do. And we're very confident in that and excited that everyone has given us this ability. And so again, in answer to that second part of that question, specifically about, are they going to get rebase rewards, like the rest of us? The answer to that is no. Let's see here. Next question here. With only 6 million tokens in circulation, with quite a few allocated for NFT whitelist group, and with projects having to put in 7 figures each at least, how do the numbers make sense? And how would the liquidity work with so many projects buying it open and having to lock up for 2 years? This continuance of that question, is the team planning to release more tokens right away? There's several parts to that question. Let's just take that in. Let's take that in phases there. First part, how would the liquidity work with so many projects buying it open and having to lock up for 2 years? There's an element to what we are doing that truly has not been done. We are capitalists. We are capitalists in the pure sense. The protections, if we want to call it that are in place for NFT holders and for whitelisters, is a phenomenal price, is obviously having those tokens and guaranteeing that obviously you'll be able to swap 1-for-1 with the pFISC token with FISC, being able to stake those. When we launch, it's fair game. And it's fair game in the sense that we are looking, part of the demand is not only in them buying and forcing a buy from these projects at launch, but it also is, and what we reference, and I don't know if anyone's referenced it in this way before, but it's a liquidity squeeze. That's something that is part of this. That helps us in several ways. And we have to get into some of these kind of advanced thoughts. Again, these are not simple, tokenomic thoughts. These are economic thoughts, because again, we are a mixture of off-chain and on. And so by doing that, what happens is that the fear that some may have, and this is kind of the second part of the question, was about, let's say that we do have an LBP price of 250. That puts an enormous value on FISC from a market cap perspective. Obviously, initially with the initial tokens that are there, that the market cap is really just it's a number, and it's a number that's not as important per se, not as feasible, because we're not at the full token issuance. But what happens is that by having a liquidity squeeze, it also lengthens runway, and it softens the volatility of the price. That's what we're accomplishing. We want to be able to control the not, and again, I say that lightly, and these things that I'm saying, again, no, this is not financial advice. This is not anything more than a very innovative project, which everyone knows. That's why you're here. When it comes to things off chain and on chain, this is why we do this. Our whole goal is to increase the value of the treasury, because that gives us more ability to provide more set aside, which then provides more value to the treasury. It is a circle. And so how do we lengthen that? How do we take that cycle and we really make it to where we're not dependent on outside bonding? We're not dependent on bear markets when it comes to crypto, and we do that via the perfect mixture of these things. So that's something that we have to get in more detail in. And for those that want to get in more detail, there's channel that's established for that. Again, DM me. There's some newer folks that will provide their DMs as well. Feel free to DM them, not just from a tokenomic element, kind of an economic element, but also from a specific tokenomic element, because we're doing some things that haven't been done. Furthering a further answer into that question is that, let me see here. Yeah, and again, unfortunately, in this question, the assumption was that the projects would be buying at the LBP. And again, just to clarify that, they're not buying on LBP. They have to buy at launch. We will have the complete roster of the multisig before we have our next Fiscus Friday. We actually have several individuals that have applied. I guess would be kind of the best term for that. 3 of those from the community, 6 that did not stem from the community, but are 3 of those 6 are in the community now. The others will be joining the community here starting this next week. And so we want to have a good mixture of participants that, again, are in the community, but also those that have a good stature outside of. We have some that are legal counsel, one that has significant government experience. And so again, we hope to make the full selection. There may be some community involvement on that, like we spoke about last week, that we would look for. And so that's something that's exciting. That again, we want everyone to be happy with the decisions that are made. We know that at this stage, certain decisions will be made and have to be made, without full-fledged community support. But again, we want the community to be involved as much as possible. So with that being said, that next question here that I have, second. Okay, we'll come back to this on the NFT question there from RP. But it was a question about how do we see Fiscus DAO surviving through a bear market recession? Very well. Why? Why can we say that? Why do we have the ability to say that? Because our treasury ain't simply by individuals bonding. It's not based upon every metric that other crypto projects is based on. It's based upon our continuing to provide set aside for projects. And so the question should then be, well, is there a shortage of projects? No, there's not a shortage of projects that have been presented and that can be presented. There's not a shortage of projects that the project finance firms are willing to finance, and they finance in all markets, in all climates. Again, when there is a bear market in crypto, that does not necessarily relate, as everyone knows, to a bear market in for certain projects. Because we are in a way agnostic to projects, we can be, let's say, one day looking at a commercial real estate project that needs funding at the top of the market, and then several years later, we're looking at funding a different group to buy the same commercial real estate project at a significant discount. We are in and out via the financing mechanism. So we're not looking at being in it long term. Even when we do participate in projects long term, and again, for those that have heard this already, we're just repeating this. You know, in a project that we have that we do receive revenue and rewards from, we still have no principal involved in that project. It is in and out in the financial structure. That's simply the best way to do it, to mitigate risk fully and to not be dependent on economic cycles. And so that's the answer to that. Short answer is that, again, we are in a very great place and agnostic to the market. The thought here was, the second part of that question was, not sure how the sell pressure on the new on-chain assets will be impacted by macroeconomics. Are there plans to keep the treasury full to provide a floor price or something similar? And again, we keep it full by continuing revenue as a service. We keep it full by continuing to provide set-asides. And we can do that every day of the week and twice on Sunday, as they say. And so, again, very excited about that. Now, on top of that, we do want to take advantage of on-chain investments and thoughts. But again, this has to be done in a riskless way. What we don't want to happen is for us to have made a significant amount of ROI on off-chain projects, and then we turn around in an on-chain way and we invest in, let's say, a significant yield farm that has impermanent loss, a significant yield farm where we own an underlying crypto that absolutely is volatile. There's no point in that. And so, from a yield perspective on an on-chain element, it has to be based on stables. There has to be insurance in place to protect us from protocol risk in that way. And so, again, we're definitely looking to do that. That's something that will be actually announced here, I think maybe in the next day or two, that we've definitely agreed upon, that we want to go ahead and start that, so everyone sees that process, sees our ability to do that. We like what we see with Anchor. We like what we see with a lot of single stakes. Again, nothing leveraged, not having the risk there, but very excited about it. And there's a lot of phenomenal delta neutral strategies that we've even looked at and that have been proposed. And so we'll confer with those that have proposed them, and if it's something that we do as a test and it meets all risk parameters, then we'll bring that to the community. And then to further that, and this is the difference between FISC, is that it's something that we could then take and also get funded. And so that specific strategy could then be funded. Remember, that is a huge difference between us. Someone has a good strategy and the strategy is viable, we can then turn around. If that strategy qualifies for financing, then we could arrange financing for that. Much even larger than what we would have, let's say, in the treasury, even at that moment. Much larger than what we would be willing to invest in that strategy in the moment. We could turn around and apply for financing for that. And when I say we, it would be the individual that brought it forth, members from the community, and that project absolutely would qualify all NFT holders to receive rewards from it as well. As all community-sponsored projects will provide NFT rewards. Next question here. Yeah, and this gets into the NFT element. So let's get into this. This is actually perfect. Can I give some examples of how we see the revenue from off-chain projects being distributed to NFT holders? What would the mechanism of that be? Yeah, so an example of that would be, and this is actually a great question because I think there was an error throughout the week of those that assume that, there's this limited amount of reward, and either the NFT holders got it and it came out of the treasury, therefore the treasury received less. Really, you have to look at the role of the NFTs and their utility and the role of FISC, the token, absolutely separately. When a project is paying revenue, this is on top of the set aside and the ROI that's attached to the set aside. So let's say that there is a project that is at, and again, I'm using an example here. Let's say that a project is, and let's go low. It's a $10 million project, and that project requires us to, if we did projects really this low, which we're not really doing a lot that are at this size, but if the project was $10 million and they needed $1 million from us as a set aside, and they were going to be negotiated for them to pay back 1.75, and 250,000 is a FISC token requirement. On top of that is the revenue. And so if let's say that the revenue is at, let's just say 10% of the project of from a, we again, we want to have the best terms and the best deal. Let's say that it was based on gross revenue, which would be ideal. Alternative to that, of course, would be net profit. That revenue, 95% of that goes to NFT holders. 5% of that goes also to the FISC treasury. And again, so this is in addition to what's done with the set aside. The set aside is square one. That's FISC basics. Everything else is on top of that. So again, just to clarify that. Question there: will only the NFT holders who are sponsoring a project receive revenue from that project, or is revenue from all projects split amongst NFT holders? And again, all these details coming out in the Fiscus projects announcement, and then as well as a significant amount of it in the Fiscus Plus announcement that's Tuesday at 10 p.m. Before Tuesday at 10 p.m. But the short answer is that those all NFT holders benefit whenever revenue is available. It's everyone, more than just those that have sponsored it. The sponsoring, because a project has to have an NFT holder sponsor, there is a separate. So this is the fourth way that someone can make money holding an NFT and having the FISC token. A separate fee. Some would consider it almost a lease fee, a sponsorship fee, would be paid to the actual NFT holder that sponsored the project itself. So again, various mechanisms all set up to be able to create a consistent, constant flow of great projects in all markets that we can get funded via the set aside, via the legacy off-chain financial. Big term just meaning the project finance firms being able to fund projects based on the set asides that we put up, based on the collateral reserves that we allocate in a risk-free way. And again, if any of that seems daunting, if any of that, if I missed anybody or gone over anybody's head, DM. Let's continue to break that down. There's diagrams that are being prepared. I apologize for the seemingly kind of delay in those. The first drafts of some of the diagrams, I think, were more confusing than even just being able to hear it. And so we want it to be as simple as possible. And so some of those are being more or less redesigned. Let's see here. Let's go here. This one here. Yeah. So again, projects. Just stating this again, that projects are the projects that we have now, of even some of these pre-launch, and I think that's maybe the best way to phrase them. is you have pre-launch projects, and then you'll have the post-launch projects. Of the pre-launch projects, one of the first ones that will have an NFT reward attached to it is the node and mining project that has been approved. It is an SPV that has been set up for that. There's more or less a management team that's being put together for it that will run it and is signing on the debt for it. Again, this is something that we asked more or less from the community, those that may be willing to come forth and sign on the dotted line. We had some outside of the community that have come forth and been willing to do that. And so this will be one of the projects that you'll see the overview on. But in this project, there is a 15% revenue share that will be made available to NFT holders. And again, first of many, and we'll talk about more of those. And then also, to be clear, and this is something that I'm excited about everyone seeing, the Fiscus Plus and the Fiscus projects. The reason we haven't made those announcements before is we've still been wrapping up the NFT element. But when you look at those, we have the ability, I'll say this as succinctly as possible. We have the ability to revive or expand existing protocols, existing tokens, because we have the ability to get those tokens additional financing in a riskless way. And this is what's going to be identified in this Fiscus Plus announcement on Tuesday, so that everyone can see that, okay, here's a project that has lagged. Here's a project that has lost steam, but they have a worthy objective. This is a project that we could get finance via our off-chain financial structures. The fees that we receive as FISC obviously are at the top of the market, but for the NFT holders, the benefits that you receive are vast. There is one protocol that we're in discussions with to bring them back, if you will. And again, not that they've gone anywhere, not that they've been mismanaged, but we all know what crypto is like. If you get on CoinMarketCap, look in the top left corner, you can see that there's 16,000 crypto projects that they have listed. And again, some of those are in various states. Some of those aren't necessarily kind of pure crypto projects, but still, there's additional 40 or 50 added every single day. Far beyond the projects that we all know and that we have the ability to track. And a lot of these projects are tackling worthwhile goals, and yet they've faltered because they are in the cryptosphere. Had they maybe started off chain, some of these goals may be easier to accomplish. And so we have the ability to be both, because both worlds, and we can increase the activity, the efforts, the financing, the revenue, the volume of any crypto project on top of what we can do off chain. And so we're very excited for that. Now is the time for that. And as we get into a crypto winter scenario, it's really the perfect time, as some of these projects are in need, and yet they are viable at the same time. Okay, let me look here. One moment there. All right. Another question here. Will there be anything to safeguard the members of multisig from front-running merge orders? I think the best protection there is that everyone that's on the multisig has to have their wallets identified. That's one element, and that's if I'm reading the intent of that question correctly. If I'm not, feel free to go ahead and post additionally, so that I know if I did answer that correctly or not. Another question there is, when will the projects dock themselves and provide video intros, etc.? We do have videos from two, both PhilAm and Twist to Access. Those are being edited now, so everyone can be able to kind of see those and view those. we'll receive them from every project. There's a guideline for every project, and the core tenets of that is that they acknowledge the terms that we're bringing before they ever even before you guys have ever even heard of them. Before square one is an acknowledgement of the terms and them understanding the acknowledgement that the FISC token has to be purchased if it's a legality situation, and we have had one come up with that, where a core part of their business is in deals with NGOs and deals with some government agencies, and so owning the crypto asset is not an option for them. And in those cases, what happens is that they have to pay it as a fee. It just goes straight to the treasury instead of being a FISC purchase. But again, we want that FISC purchase. That's the benefit for you guys, and it also is the benefit for the treasury itself. Because what happens is that, again, as we continue to raise the floor price, those that do bond in are bonding in at that increased floor price. We are capitalists. That's the objective, right? Price appreciation. We've said that from the very beginning. Okay, so the question there, a follow up on that from that previous question is, how do we sign up for the 50% profit sharing as NFT holders? It's not a sign up, it's going to be a claim, an absolute claim system. So you'll be able to go in as an NFT holder and claim your rewards. That's part of the app that's being developed. Also, that app will be available fully on mobile and web. I think that's something, and the benefits that we have with LinkPoint and that relationship has been phenomenal. Is that we will have the ability to be more of what individuals are used to, maybe off chain, when they look at holdings, when they look at elements and things that they would like to do with their FISC token and with their NFTs. And so again, it will be claiming. Let's see. Next question here about front running. Let me just make sure I answered that. Front running can be done with a throwaway wallet as well. It absolutely can. Again, when we talk about those that are on the multisig, these obviously they're known, right? These are known participants. These are not those that would not be so. There has to be, even from those coming from the community, there has to be a private doxing that's done. That's something that would just be mandated. Again, we don't want any surprises. We have to know. We know where we're headed. We know what the growth looks like, and so those things are absolutely a must. Feel free, if anybody has any additional questions here before we wrap up. Feel free to send those over. Again, so much appreciation. Thank everyone for really just the support during the times that I really was quite sick over the last 2 weeks. Thank you so much for that. There's so much more that I probably even haven't mentioned that has been advanced, and instead of mentioning it in its middle stage, I'd rather everyone just see it this next week. It really is that simple. Let's be people of action, and that's the same for me. We are dedicated, fully dedicated, and very excited about launching this. And we are excited about launching it in the third week in February. That's something that we are absolutely on target for. And I want individuals to not only hear that from me, because I could say it, but I want you to hear it from the devs. I want you to hear it from marketing, and I want you to hear and see that everything is being structured for that. And everyone will start to see that this week as you see more and more information. And then obviously receiving the pre-FISC tokens puts us right there. So again, thrilled. Thank you everyone for being on here tonight. Next week, the time and is already announced. And so what we're going to do is an alternating schedule on these Fiscus Fridays. We'll have this one, such as this week at 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, in order to benefit our U.S. members. And then the following week, we'll have it at 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific, and 9 p.m. UTC in order to benefit our European members and those in some of the other countries as well. That because again, we're here for everyone. And so with that being said, I don't see any other questions here. Looking forward to additional DMs. Looking forward to additional announcements. I think I did. Make sure you're here. Yeah. Anything else that's needed, just let us know. Reach out to us. Those that are in the audience, I think I've received DMs from most of you guys at certain points. Anybody that hasn't received a response back, I'm not seeing any. I think I'm absolutely caught up on DMs. But if you have any great ideas for projects, this is your time, right? This is your time. Those that have had projects that they've been sitting on, or ideas for projects that they're not quite sure if they're valid or not. We want Fiscus to be the place where not only conversation about those projects happen, but what's needed to make those projects a reality can happen. We have that ability with off-chain finance, and that's something that truly sets us apart. So thank everyone for being on here. Looking forward to this next week of activity. Looking forward to the announcements, the slew of those coming on Tuesday. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Those that are expecting those second chance NFTs, look for those coming shortly in your wallets, and everyone get ready to receive your pFISC tokens as well. Thank you, everyone, and looking forward to next week. And with that, we will end our Fiscus Friday.